Hey guys, how you
There
doing?
we go. There's Mr.
Can't see me at the
Redstone.
moment.
So what's going to happen is we're going to give everybody a few minutes. By next week, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out a link that everybody can have, so we won't have to do this. So Nick's going to post out that we're officially live once LinkedIn starts telling everybody that we're live. Then all y'all can join, and we're going to start the show. So as you see, we've got Mr. Redstone over here. He's right now doing the official launch on his LinkedIn account for the NRDD live show. We are a couple of minutes late, so we do apologize for that. Um, in the interim, what we're going to do is we got some comment sections. So whether you're seeing this on Facebook, whether you're seeing it on YouTube, whether you're seeing it on LinkedIn, wherever you're watching from, this is a flowered shirt. And we and we have the ability through the comment section where if you comment or send reactions, we will actually see it. Little bit of a technical issue, if you will, as we were starting because we were going through Zoom, but for some reason Zoom decided to get a little bit freaky on us. So we are now going through a service called Ecamm Live, which is then broadcasting to Restream. And then Restream broadcasts it to LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So if there is a bit of a delay, we do apologize for this. It's kind of what happens when you go live. Nick, are you all set there? Have you seen the actual stream come out yet on LinkedIn?
I'm just trying to get that sorted out. All right. Well, firstly, Dan, I mean, that shirt, mate, we had one discussion about, let's wear polo shirts and something that's acceptable. And, the shirt you're wearing, mate, looks like you're wearing a pizza. So thanks for that, Dan. Clearly the message in the memo didn't get to you.
Well, you know what, Nick? I figured, you want to give people energy, and a nice shirt with, I guess they're hibiscus flowers and stuff on them is kind of like an energy shirt. And not to mention, it's hot as hell in my office. So it actually is pretty light and lets me move around a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Right,
So,
that link that I'm looking for, isn't saying we're live right now.
okay. So
To your question.
let's do this. I'm going to pass it over to you, Nick, while I get the link out.
All right, guys. Hey, look, fantastic to be live. I guess we have these kind of teething issues we work through, and we try and establish what's taking place. Couple of things to talk about. This is NRDD live coaching and sales training show. There was a very successful season one we did. We were exclusive to all of our member base. We were exclusive to all of the people that we were working with, and it was an exclusive audience. I guess with COVID coming up, Dan and I talked about it, and we realized the importance and the value of actually coming out live to you guys and doing it free to all. So if this is coming through LinkedIn, it's free to all. If it's on YouTube, it's free to all. Facebook, it's free to all. And we know that the audience is going to grow over time. We're very excited about the opportunity to get our message out to so many people, to share what we've got to share with you guys. Over the next 16 weeks, as we do season 2, we will be talking about the things that we cover off with regards to season 1, the likes of becoming aware of something, clarifying a situation relevant to what the awareness is, learning and developing new techniques and new skills, and then learning to implement new skills. And we're launching this new thing, Dan, aren't we, called the Live Coaching Hot Seat. Now, what's really exciting about this is we're going to get one of you guys through applications that come out every week to actually be on this live show, and we're going to do a live coaching, working through the challenges that you have, working through the things that you're working through, and that's going to be a really great new hot seat. One of the things we're going to do straight away is we're going to give away season 1 right now to the first person that puts in the comment field, loving what we're seeing already. All right, so just put loving what we're seeing already in the comment field, even though we've got some technical issues going on, and you are getting season 1. First person to do that gets season 1. All right, so that's 16 weeks worth of content that we had there. We had 5 guests on the show. We had Bob Berg on the show, the author and founder of the Go Giver series. We had the amazing Andrea Waltz on with her husband Richard, and of course Andrea with the Go for No series, internationally best-selling authors right there. Jane Bluestein was on season 1, talking about survival brain and what it means to have a survival brain, how to work it out. Jane was on Oprah Winfrey. So we had some amazing guests, didn't we, Dan, with season 1? It was top-notch. We're going to do that all over again with season 2. All right. We're just working through some technical stuff, but we will be with you very soon. So, Dan, how's that live looking?
It's actually great, Nick. So what I've done is actually sent you out the live link and tagged you on LinkedIn so you can start sending it out to people. At present, probably a lot of people are not seeing the link live, so hopefully we will get those glitches fixed. We'll repost this link quite a few times this week, so if you're watching this as a replay, great. Nick was going into kind of some things that happened in season one, and some of the education we had in season one was just spectacular. I mean, like we had Marcus Ogden on talking about the 5 big moves of a real high performance mindset. And mindset is the conversation we wanted to have today because, as we go through this, still in COVID-19, and Nick had New Zealand, or Nick didn't have New Zealand, but New Zealand got locked down again. Our mindset is taking a beating, for lack of a better word. I mean, I don't know how you'd describe it, Nick, but I'm feeling like it's taken a massive beating, and that productivity level, like real mastery of our craft, of our career. How many of us? And here's kind of the big question I'm going to put out to everybody is, Stuart Little says, good morning.
Hey, Stuart, how are you? Welcome on board season 2. We're just working through a few technical issues we're going through, which you expect when you kick off, I guess, brand new live. So we'll be right with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the thing is, our mindset is what's really taking a beating right now. And, as much as when this all happened, I don't know about any of you, but I know when it happened for me, it was kind of this, okay, yeah, it's happening, but it's going to be over in, 8 weeks, 10 weeks. Some people thought, 2 months. And then, we're traveling 6-7 months down the road now. And, it's starting to take its toll, I guess. I can remember being out with my wife kind of when it officially hit me. We were out and we're just standing there and everybody's in masks. And it kind of just went, what the heck is going on here? So, from a business perspective, from a corporate perspective, from an individual perspective, I look at a lot of the things in the industry that I work full time in, and I see mandates changing like you would not believe. And that pressure filters down to the salespeople, to the ones that are on the ground level, right? The Marines in the ditches, it filters down. So from that perspective, we're going to dive into mindset and how to really, not necessarily how to, because Nick and I decided prior to the show, we really don't want this show to be a full on, here's coaching, do this. It's more of, let's talk about some things and let's share some stories, share some questions, and really get you critically thinking about how to shift and move to that next level. Nick, are you all set there?
I'm just reposting this at the moment, so we right there.
All right, Wesley says good morning.
Wesley's on. Okay, so we're getting some people. Great to have them coming through. So just a reminder, guys, what we're doing is giving away season 1. The first person to say this is awesome in the comment field is going to get season 1. Value of $199, free to you. First person to put in there, this is awesome, is going to get season 1, 16 weeks worth of content. We had 5 major guests, international guests on the show. Awesome stuff in there. Real breakdown training, making people aware of what something looks like or a problem that we have as a challenge, clarifying it, learning, developing new tools and skills, finding new tools like Loom, and we're going to talk about that in season 2. It's a great new tool. When you're doing a presentation, you can have a wee small video of yourself come up in the corner of your own presentation. Dan and I discovered that in season 1. So powerful, Dan, right? We've been using that on our presentations and when we send out information to people, so powerful. So first person to put in, this is awesome, in the comments field, gets season 1 for free. Absolutely for free.
All right, so let's dive into it. What I want to do is I want to just, first of all, pose a question to you. So in your business, in your field, your mindset going into, really the last 4 months of the year. Now, depending on some people I work with, they're in their last quarter officially today. So the last 4 months of the year, really start examining and asking yourself, what were the challenges that were set forth to me during this COVID, right? During how COVID happened, whether it was shut down, whether it was kind of the incremental increase in business or in companies opening, and you being able to get back in the full workforce, if you will, if you're even still there, right? We had working from home. I mean, just in my industry, there was companies letting go, 7, 8, 900 salespeople, not because of a loss of business, but because they couldn't even support them outside of their buildings, right? So what's changed? I often say to a lot of the students that I coach, I say, where are we? And this is where real progressive mastery comes in. I say my first thing is, what skills do you need to get insanely good at to make it to the next level? And that's question one that we're asking you is, what are those skills that are going to take you to the next level of business? And Nick and I have always been big on 5, right? Like, what are the 5 big moves you need to take you to that next level, right? Because when we understand those moves, one big thing that I've found when it comes to mindset is it's the competence confidence loop, right? And if we are very competent at what we do, we become more confident. As we gain more confidence, we get more competent, and it's just a massive loop that keeps expanding and expanding. And when we have that loop working in our favor, everything changes. Our whole approach, our perspective of business changes. The way we work, we no longer have these blinders on like racehorses just running down the track. It expands our field. We can start positioning ourselves and putting ourselves in somebody else's shoes, right? Like, I'll give you a perfect example of having blinders and not seeing the light. In 2008, when the economy fell out, I owned a $22 million brokerage, and in 8 months, it was 300,000 because my blinders were on, and every customer that called that said, listen, we got major issues, we need to do something. My first reaction, not even response, it was a reaction, was, are you kidding me? You know what I've done for you for the last 5 years, and there's a glitch in the economy and you come asking me for $50 off? Instead of focusing on point number 1, when you want to be a real pro in sales, is always sell and help the customer achieve their goals. You're not in sales to make a sale. You're in sales to help the customers achieve their goals, to help them meet their mandates, to help them push through, to help them look good to their bosses, to those people, to their shareholders, if you will. So that's the number 1 rule, is when we sell, we need to make sure that we're progressing forward on our customers' goals, right? And if we do that, then what happens? It's like Zig Ziglar said, you help enough people get what they want, you're always going to get what you want. But if we're focused on the sale, that's not going to happen. Nick, how are you over there?
Yeah, good, Dan. Yeah, so let's take a moment to sort of embrace this a wee bit for who we are. What is the NRDD show? If you're just joining us right now, you will be seeing the NRDD live sales and business training coaching show live. We've always been exclusive to our members. I just want to touch base on who we are. So my background, I've worked with billion-dollar businesses and million-dollar businesses, small businesses, large companies. I'm a consultant and a coach, 6-figure consultant and a coach. I worked out the strategy behind working with large businesses and small businesses to get them the results that they were looking for. A lot of that is about helping someone to understand the challenge they have and then filling the gap, right? Dan, I'll give you a moment to talk about what you do, your background being in transport and logistics. Similar situation. Dan is a very successful, 6-figure consultant coach and has been doing training for years and years as well, working with big and small businesses. So between Dan and I, we have around 54 years of experience in sales. I think we worked out, Dan?
Yep, just about.
So what we want to do, guys, is give you the opportunity to, as a part of being on the show, is ask us some questions on things that are troubling you right now, right? So Dan, just take a moment to just quickly go through yourself and your background.
So very quickly, because I know, the whole webinar and all this, you're supposed to share with people what you are and where you came from and all that. The reality is, I started in sales and transportation sales when I was 17. Kind of fell into it, and 27 years later, I'm still doing it. I love it. The career's given me everything I've ever wanted, but I've been able to see things a little bit differently. I'm able to kind of see through the lines, if you will, and morph myself through adversity that I've faced in the industry into the ability to think differently. and not to steal anything from Steve Jobs or anything, but it's really about thinking differently. It's about thinking through the lines in those quiet moments where you lie, you put your head down in bed. Those are the moments that really matter when you figure yourself. Am I living to my fullest? Am I alive, alert, energized? Am I ready to go? Why am I here, and what am I doing? So that's more of what I focus on in all of my coaching and consulting. That's about it, Nick. That's all I'm going to say for me.
Yeah, fantastic. And again, this is not a webinar. This is a live show. We created it with a template, which was giving people something they can look at and go, that's actually a training show. It's actually a coaching show. One of the things I want to talk about is sometimes we'll be informing new ideas. Sometimes we'll be going through talking about new things we've discovered on this show. One of the things I would like to take a moment to talk about now, and hopefully you can see me because I'm not seeing myself on the screen at the moment. That's all right. I'm sure I'm there. Is there are 5, if you can see my fingers here, there are 5 key things in business that we have to have in place, large or small, to be able to be successful. One of the things I learned years ago is if you don't have those 5 things in place, for every one of those that you don't have in place, you're going to be putting yourself back an average of 7 weeks. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're watching this show for the first time, I want this to really scream that message to you, that if you start a business and you haven't got these 5 things in place, you'll push yourself back by about 7 weeks on average for each one of those. There will be a total of 35 weeks that you may be pushing yourself back. So the key thing is, what are those 5? Well, they're this: product, content, pricing, traffic to you, and brand. Sounds simple. I know it sounds really easy, sounds really straightforward. This is where so many businesses fall over. So I just want to inform you guys on something. We'll talk a bit more about this as we have guests on the show and cover this off more in week 2, week 3, week 4. But just briefly, product. What is your product? What is it that your product does for someone? Do you provide a service, or do you provide some kind of tangible hard product that needs to be used and needs to deliver on whatever the expectation is delivering on? How does your product work to help someone else with their problem? How is your product going to do something for someone else? Is your product reliable? Have you worked out what your product can do for a smaller market, a niche market, or a larger market? All right. Then we work on to content. If you've got your product established, how do you now market around that product? What kind of things are you saying around that product? If you have a service, do people know clearly what they can read about your service and how they can understand the service you provide? And is your content clear on what that service is? If you have a product and it is doing something for someone, is it very clear as to what that product will do for them? That's important. That's a content piece. Pricing. If we don't have product and we don't have content, it's so hard to do pricing. If you're a, say, for example, a content creator on LinkedIn or on YouTube or on Facebook, and you're looking at trying to work out your pricing point in the market, if you don't have content and understanding of what you can say to someone about what you do or how your product will work for them, and you don't really have an understanding of your product, how can you price it? And then when we do price the product, I see businesses all the time that undervalue their product because they haven't gone through, or their service, because they haven't gone through and looked at things like downtime it would take for someone else to source this product globally. So a lot of people create a product and then throw margin on it or markup on it and go, that's what I want for this. But they don't take into account it would take someone 4 to 5 hours to source this product on the internet, or it would take someone 2 to 3 weeks to try and have this manufactured and developed. If someone was doing a service, it would take them a long time to work out how to do expert areas of that service. So they often price it ineffectively because what they're doing is going, well, I've taken this product, I've got this content, and I'm going to mark it up by 50%. So pricing is super important when you know what your content is, and you know what your product is. The next big thing is what we call the lead funnel, traffic to you. So I've got this great product, it's working fantastic, I've got the content, and I know how to price it, but it's not selling. Well, why is that? Why is it when I go out to people and have conversations with them and, I go give them a link, they're not coming back to me? That's because traffic to you is a formula called TTU, which is traffic to you. You have to work out how you get people to come to you to find your service. It's one of the biggest killers in business. Like large scale businesses don't need to worry about this. They've got massive marketing campaigns that they can put together, spend large budgets on that, and they can work through bringing traffic to them through advertising. But if you've just kicked off a business on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, and you're waiting for people to come to you, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've been through a process where you started your business a year ago and you're still waiting for people to find you, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And the last one is brand. Now, brand is where everyone starts for some reason. When they start a business, they kick off with this brand concept. Oh, I've got to develop my brand. I've got to build my brand. I've got to get my name out there. I've got to get people understanding what my brand is. Who am I as a brand is what they ask themselves. Actually, and really interestingly, Dan and I discovered some years back at individual levels ourselves that brand piece is actually not the first piece you work on. All right, but most people think I'm going to establish my brand, I'm going to get a logo, I'm going to get some business cards, and I'm going to establish myself from that point of view. People will know who I am because I've got this brand. It's not how it works, and I want to share that with you, and we want to share this with you in the weeks to come. With regards to brand, your brand only establishes once you have your product, your content, your pricing, and traffic starts to understand where you are and who you are, because otherwise none of that matters. Now, what we see is we see businesses go through this on a regular basis, and you may be able to relate to this. In fact, throw something in the comment field. I can't see this right now at the moment, but if you can see it, Dan, let me know. Throw something in the comment field. Is this sounding familiar? Have you started your own business recently and you're finding there's a gap? Have you kicked off something where you're waiting for traffic to come to you? You've got a great product, you've got a great service, but you're waiting for people to come to you. You're waiting for the phone to ring. Anyone relating to that?
We've got nothing coming through.
Nothing comes through at the moment. That's all right. So those 5 things we're talking about, each one of those, you'll be set back by 7 weeks on average if you haven't got those established in your business. And even if you are an existing large-scale business or a medium, small business, rechecking that those are purposeful is massively important when it comes to how you retain your clients. So is your product still delivering for the client as you said it would? Is your content still making sense to the people that you're going out to? Is your story there when it comes to re-signing? Are you spending a lot of time going out convincing someone why they should pay more for a service you're providing, but at the end of the day, your content's not telling the story anymore about what it is your service does for them? They've forgotten that over time. There's been changes in the business and people have moved on, right? COVID is a classic example. Right now is a classic time to be getting out to your customers and establishing relationships because they will be changing because people are moving on from roles with COVID, right? Unfortunately, they're being made redundant, and in some situations, they're choosing to move on themselves. Very good time to be circling back around with your customers. If we're looking at traffic to you, how do you spend effectively and market that effectively so you have this traffic coming through to you? Great, flashed up on the screen. Thanks, Dan. So we just wanted to cover that off very quickly. Those things are really, really important. What we're finding is there are a lot of people in business that are struggling with these things. They've got a product, they've got a service, but COVID's hit them. They've taken a knock. They've taken a real salary decrease from a wage point of view if they're on working for a company, or if they're working for themselves, they recognise a massive revenue loss straight away because of COVID and how it's impacted them. So it's going to be really important as we work through this process and we're doing these hot coaching seats, that people start to understand in terms of that product, that service, and how you deliver that product and service is key to how quickly you reestablish your business through COVID. So many of us are a bit dysfunctional at the moment, right? Dan and I included, no question about it. We both had to pivot from being coaches that were going out or consultants that were going out and seeing companies and physically sitting with them and working with GMs and CEOs and that type of thing, and of course the sales teams, to suddenly working through doing this online. It's a big change. A lot of us are going through it. How do you adapt to that and still be as effective as you were before? Well, one of the things that Dan and I talk about a lot is what we call RG, which is revenue generating appointments. And Dan, I'll give you the opportunity to go through from a high performance mindset what it means to set revenue generating appointments versus just setting customer service appointments.
For sure, Nick, for sure. So what I actually want to do prior to going through RG with you is Nick just went through the 5 1s of a successful business. And what I want to do is I'd like to give you just a simple framework that you can work on that'll give you a real good, clear indication of how you're working through the 5 1s. The first one is skill. So the first level is for all of this, when you're producing a product or you're creating a product or you have or your service that you're offering, the content that you're making, the marketing, the pricings, whether it be the right price, your traffic, which equals prospecting, or your brand, like who are you? Do you have the skills to get all of these 5 done? If not, then your first order of business is to get insanely good at those skills. The second thing I want you to look at is emotion. Now, the reason I say emotion is the reason being is if we are not emotionally attached to these 5, right? If they don't light a fire in our belly, if they don't give us that oomph for us to really go out and go to market and get things done, we're always going to be challenged at these 5, right? So it has to have emotion. And then the last one, which is one that a lot of people neglect, is measuring. When we don't or we can't measure something, we really have no clue if we can get any better, what skills we need to master at an insane level to get better. Like mastery, I mean, I don't think anyone can truly master something. I mean, every day I learn, but to get to that level of mastery that you want, you got to have the skill to do it, or you got to develop the skill. You got to have real emotion. I mean, it's got to touch you. There's got to be an emotional attachment inside. If you're just going through the motions, it will never work. I mean, for all of you that are watching, you've hit a roadblock before for something that you probably didn't have a lot of emotion attached to, which then made you stop, right? So that's a key one. And then measure it and how you measure it. And the final one, Nick, that we're going to go through is
Then we
RG.
said the same, which is if you can't.
I think your audio just cut out, Nick. There you go. You there? Nick? Okay. It looks like we have possibly lost Nick. Maybe not. Oh, I hear his
No, I'm
audio
still
now.
here.
There you go. Okay, so we lost you there for
One
a
of the things
second,
we
Nick.
used to actually talk about.
Say that again.
One of the things we used to actually talk about was if you can't measure it, you can't monitor it. All right. If you can't monitor it, you can't measure it. So it's really important that what you're doing becomes measurable. Where we actually start to get results is where we can break down something and realize there's a gap and then start to measure the change once we start to fill that gap. It's so important to be able to measure that. From an emotional point of view, people are getting tied up right now but I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it takes a toll on your mental state, right? And as we know right now, it's really important that we try to maintain a really good mental state. So, yeah, these are great points, Dan.
Oh, thanks, brother. So when it comes to RG, right, revenue generating meetings, conversations, a couple of things that we need to understand is obviously these need to be qualified. Um, more and more, and the understanding is possibly it's because of the pressure being brought down. A lot of people are simply just going out and saying, the more people I meet, the more business I'm going to get. I'm not sure if that's completely accurate at this day and time, only because, I look at this from the right message to the right person scenario. So RMRP that Nick and I talk about quite a bit. If you have a message that up here that is delivering price and your customer is only looking for a service or massive value in what they do, there's this gap. And this gap will never be filled if you keep talking about price, and vice versa. Let's flip it. If you talk about service and you talk about how much value you can bring to the table, and what it means to work with you, and how you've done this for this person and that for that person and this for this company and improved bottom line, this here and that there, and efficiencies and visibility and whatever, and the prospect you're talking to is simply going, okay, but I've got a mandate to cut my cost by 10%, so how are you going to cut my costs? One message is here and one message is here. And that gap in the middle, you'll never, ever build. What needs to happen is you need to see what's the bridge so you can start talking on the same level. And that's when everything changes. And that's when your actual appointments, that's when your actual appointments become something great. We just had Paul comment on my shirt. It's on freaking point.
Paul, you should be commenting on the shirt. We have a rule, which is a memo that goes out where I say to the NRDD team, please, Dan, be wearing a nice shirt, which is a nice polo shirt, mate. He's put on a pizza today. You know, once again, Dan's wearing a pizza. Hey, look, what I want to add to this is this. How many of you can reflect on this at the moment or recognize this at the moment that you maybe, if you're honest with yourself, you don't have enough RG appointments, revenue generating appointments. So you look at your weekly calendar and you've got the activity in there. It's all looking pretty good. You've got like, say, 10 appointments, but they're customer service or they're maybe service calls. They're not RG. Well, what happens at the start of the month, if you haven't put in enough time on the RG calls, the end of the month doesn't happen. I've been through this for 10 years with businesses, and as I started doing it sort of more last 3 years in terms of coaching and consulting with companies, they're really starting to understand this concept. Your work phase is the first 2 weeks of the new month. That's when you work your tail off. You're working on putting these RG appointments together. You're getting the appointment. You're setting the appointment. You're working through the presentations, and it's about revenue generating opportunities. Yeah. And then your second couple of weeks in that same month is about now closing down those opportunities and getting ready to invoice and deliver the service. And here's what happens in big businesses, especially if you can't invoice it, chances are you can't bill it that month. Yeah. So one of the really important things is, how do you become more productive? How do you become more effective to be able to go, I've got more revenue generating appointments. I'm working through a really great process of watch Nick and Dan's video stuck at B, so I'm not getting stuck at B in this process. And for everyone that hasn't seen that, we're going to throw that in the comment field and put that in the link in the weeks to come, probably this week as well. And how do you then look at that and say, I'm doing the right amount of appointments with the right number of revenue generating appointments to grow my business the way it needs to be? Now, I won't say that any people want to comment on this, because I know coaching a few of you out there, a lot of you could relate to this when we first caught up with you. You were doing appointments, but you weren't doing revenue generating appointments. And the revenue generating appointments is what moves your business forward. One of our guests coming up, which is really exciting, next week, Alex B. Sheridan. Alex is taking off on LinkedIn. He is a content creator from hell. He has absolutely become a rising star on LinkedIn. We have him next week. Alex actually grew through season 1 with us, and personally, Dan and I were coaching Alex, and Alex understood the importance of the 5 1s and started to implement those. And he really started to understand the importance of revenue generating appointments and what that means. So Alex is going to share a lot of that next week with us and start to talk about how we can create some wicked content, get traffic coming to us using LinkedIn. So that's going to be really exciting for everyone that's seeing us through LinkedIn. Dan, probably getting to the point where we need to wrap this up. So I just want to say thank you, everyone, for getting on with us and joining us in this first kickoff. Not perfect from a point of view of the technical side. We'll work through that. I've seen it happen to quite a few people who have gone live. So we got there in the end. Thank you very much for joining us. Dan, what do you want to say, buddy?
So we've got Paul here that came on and said sales and customers need to be able to speak to the same sales and customers need to be able to speak the same language. If you don't know the goals, you could be selling the wrong thing. And you know what? That's absolutely right. And he also said he loved the comment about my shirt. Alan says, hey guys, can't stay, but wanted to pop in and say hello. Thank you so much to everybody that watched the show today. Here is our ending. Nick, did you want to say something? You got your hand up. You're kind of like you're in classroom there saying, ooh, Mr. Cotta.
Paul's getting a copy. Yeah. Mr. Diggy, can I speak? Paul's getting a copy. Paul, that comment was classic, Paul. You're getting a copy of season 1, 16 weeks of the value that we put into season 1, the 5 guests we interviewed that gave us their top 5 moves. You're getting that for free, my friend.
Paul, I'll set you up this afternoon, brother.
You get one and you get one.